Alright, Vin, here we are. We're on the, where are we on the 10 watt scale? You're showing 3 and almost 4, 3 3/4. On the 100 watt scale, we are showing 3 3/4, almost 4 watts. I can't put it on the 1 watt scale, unfortunately, because it'll poof. So that's where we're at. And the SWRs on this antenna are, actually it's already set, so let's push it in. 1 to 1.2, so we're almost 0. SWRs are fine. Now, what I have for an antenna is the Solarcom 99. They also have one called the Tram 99. They're good antennas. They're like a big stick, but better. Big stick is a half wave. I don't even know if they make a battery went dead as I walked out the door. There it is there. It's just like a big stick. But it's 3 pieces. Big stick, if I remember right, was 2. And each one of them are about 6 feet. You have to do nothing but screw it together. And there's a set of rings on it. Just leave them where they are. Kind of lock them in. Make sure they're not going to move. Gently, don't force them, but just kind of lock them in together. And you should be all set. You know, as long as you can get the base of it, you know, above the eave of the roof. You know, so I guess your houses are what, about 12, 14 feet high around the edge. So if you can get that thing up 12, 14 feet on a piece of pole, you'll have no problems with it. Alright, so anyway, we're all set. I'm going to buckle it up one more time. I just wanted to clean that switch, which I had done. The pot that actually controls the meter is working. However, the meter doesn't seem to be working properly. Not even over here. The meter seems to be sticking. And I don't have another meter. Even though I saved a lot of parts, I didn't save any meters. I just saved all the pots and the controls. But the meter seems to be sticking on the transmit side for some odd reason. But we know it's transmitting. We know we're doing almost 4 watts. We got good audio. You heard it. And that was with a stock mic. So at that point, I think you're going to be okay. So I'm going to put this in the box and get it out to you. I was talking about this package that's going back now that it's done. With Tram radio. Now Tram, as I was saying earlier, Tram and Browning back 30, 40 years ago was like top shelf stuff. And again, I don't drink, but I use the term top shelf. You know, it's not well water. So, but they were always good. Tram and Brownings were always button heads for #1. And in my opinion, they were both #1. And they, in their own right. I wouldn't mind owning either one of them. And actually I did. I owned them both. Their base units, their D201, the D201As, the Browning Eagle, it had the ping. You know, everybody had their own characteristics. They were tube radios. The base units were tube radios at the time, so they had that deep tube quality. And then ARF 2001 came out with a new system that was all IC chips, you know, transistorized, not a tube in sight. And what a radio! What a radio it was! It took over, and I'll tell you what. Tram and Browning wasn't really out there anymore, but if they were, this ARF 2001 probably would have kicked their butt. But meanwhile, Tram and Browning were always good radios. And they still are, if you can find a good one like the one Vinny has here. It's basically a Virgin radio. And I didn't want to do anything to it to upset that. All I did was bring the audio up and tweak the power to a nice where it should be. I got it at 3¾ watts, almost 4 watts across the board, the 40 channels with good audio. And that's all I really want to do to it. I don't want to go into this radio and butcher it. It's a nice radio. Now, the problem though is, these radios, even though they were top shelf in their day, are not top shelf today. If this radio came out of the box today, as it did back then, it would not be a hot item. It would not be a top shelf radio, because the technology in the newer radios have far past this radio. Audio wise, carrier wise, channel wise, you know, this is it's a good radio. I mean, you're not going to get the quality of this radio, but at the same token, you're not going to get the boom out of this radio that you're going to get out of the new radios. You know what I mean? If I own this radio, yeah, I would use it. I would probably put a small amplifier behind it, even though you're not supposed to. I'd probably put a small amplifier behind it. Oh, I forgot to put this in the box too. Well, I could put that in an envelope, I guess. Because it you know, it's going to need a little extra help to get out there with the radios that are out there today. You know, like I say, in its day, it was top shelf. I don't want to go into this and butcher it. I want to leave it as close to normal in stock as possible, because it is a nice radio. And this radio is going to be worth more the way it is than if it is that I went in it. Especially to somebody that wants Tram. That's why I didn't want to go in it and put that modulator board in it, because I didn't want to disturb anything in the radio. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sending Vinny the thing that I made for my radio, because it plugs into the outside, so it's not bothering this radio at all. You know, and this radio is old, which means the parts in there, you know, even though it was well maintained and well stored, the parts start to pick up, you know, moisture. Over time, they're going to get weak. And I mean, he may turn this on, and 2 months later, if he's using it a lot, it can start blowing parts. You don't know. That's why I didn't want to do a lot to it and push it any harder than it should be pushed. But if he does ever blow this radio, and I'm not saying he's going to, Vinny knows what he's doing when it comes to stuff like this. At least now, he can take the box that I sent him with this, unplug it, and buy another radio to plug it into. Where if I built it into the radio, then we'd have to uninstall it, reinstall it, you follow me? So the way that it is now is more practical. And it left the radio in a comfortable state to where it should be, and not working too hard. I mean, like I say, the newer radios now just kick butt. You know, you can spend $200 and get a kick-ass radio nowadays. So, all right, so that's where we're at, guys. At least now, like I say, if he decides just to leave this and put it away, it's done, it's clean, it's done, it's tuned, it's peaked, everything is fine. You know, so he can just keep it in the box, put it up on a shelf. You know, try it, put it back in the box, put it up on a shelf, take the other piece out that I sent him, buy another radio, as long as it's a 4-pin Uniden Cobra type radio, plug the mic into it, plug it into the radio, boom, you're ready to go. So this is more practical and not going to strain the radio. Alright guys, let me print up a label.